I want you guys to understand and get something very clearly that the God of the Bible has exceptions. He makes exceptions because you know why? People are dysfunctional. I want you to hear me out on this. That think about Samuel. I was reading First Samuel, Second Samuel. I was taking a look at it. And one thing that I noticed is that God makes exceptions. Despite dysfunctional family, he makes exceptions. I know I keep saying this word, but I'm trying to drive in a point. Let me build it up for you. So in First Samuel, we're introduced to Hannah. Hannah is married, but she's competing with another woman. This woman has more kids for her husband while Hannah has no kids. And Hannah prays and cries, begging the Lord for a child. So this is already a dysfunctional family. You have two women fighting against each other, trying to fight for a man's approval, fight for a man's love, fight for a man's attention. And they, being Hannah specifically, wanted a child. She wanted a child. And so she begged the Lord, and long story short, that she finally got her child that she's been wanting. She prayed, she asked, she sought the Lord, and the Lord answered. But she said she would bring this baby as a dedication to the Lord. And with that being said, the Lord blessed her with many, many, many more children. And one thing I wanted to point out is that he's from the tribe of Ephraim, and he does priestly duties. He does offering, he does sacrifice, which is only for the Levitical priesthood. For those who don't know, there's 12 tribes in Israel, but the tribe of Levi were the main one overseeing the sacrifices. So imagine this: God makes an exception because you see throughout all of First Samuel that he's giving sacrifices to the Lord, which is not permitted for him to do. But you see that the Lord allows it. He has an exception because you know why? God made an exception for Samuel because you know why? The Levites were corrupt because Eli had sons and his sons were corrupt. So he said, you know what? I'll get somebody else. He got somebody else in a way that most people didn't think. They didn't think that Samuel was going to come from a dysfunctional family, coming from a mother who didn't have no children, all of that. But he did. God did. So I want you guys to get this picture that God doesn't seek approval, but he makes exceptions to those who are deserving. And even most are not deserving, but he makes the choices that are best fit. So my point is that God could use anybody. He could use you across the screen right now. While you're sitting down watching this, he can use you. And I want to tell you more biblical stories. Stay right there. Think about Rahab. Rahab was a harlot. She was also a Canaanite. So if you're familiar with the Exodus, let's go and do a rewind. But if you're not familiar with the Exodus, this is when the Israelites got out of the land of Egypt and now they were in the desert. And God said that you were going to wipe the people out in the land of Canaan. But the first Canaanite that we meet, we kind of have sympathy for her because you know why? She loves and fears the Lord. She hears of the power acts that God does, and she's willing to be part of the covenant. And we see that the first Canaanite that we meet, there's an exception because we're told to that they should wipe the Canaanites out. It doesn't give, oh, if they are willing or they're complying. It doesn't mention that. But we see that we have people who have a willing heart. And God looks for those with a willing heart. Being introduced to Ruth, she was a Moabite, which was looked in the same light as a Canaanite. But we see that both of these women are a part of Jesus' genealogy. And this is something so vital that it shows that you could be an exception, that you don't have to come from the most perfect family, the perfect lineage, or you got to be this type of ethnicity. No, that is wrong. All you just need is a willing heart. God is able to use those from the uttermost, those who seem that they have no hope. God has done it all the time. All the time he has done it. And why can't he do that for you? That's the real question.